world into a side bitch. Middle finger in all of my pictures just to remind y'all I ain't having it.
Good evening, and thank you for joining me for tonight's episode of Conversations with Taz. Tonight, we're doing our weekly recap of all of the news that I can fit into here that I thought maybe would be interesting to everyone. Let's find all my notes for tonight. Didn't make notes on my iPad, but go for the phone. Let's kick it off with an article from CBS News. I know some of you saw this in some spoiler videos that were circulating last week, I believe, on social media. But here it is. Rudy Giuliani revealed as Masked Singer contestant. Judge Kim Jung walks off set. Viewers of The Masked Singer may have already seen some spoilers about Wednesday night's episode when a controversial contestant, long rumored to be on the show, was eliminated. Rudy Giuliani was revealed as a contestant, and his final performance prompted Judge Kim Jung to walk off the stage, Entertainment Tonight reports. The former mayor of New York City and President Trump's lawyer was voted off after singing Bad to the Bone dressed as a Jack in the Box. The singing competition show has celebrities wear elaborate costumes to cover their faces, so the judges and audience have no clue which stars are singing until they are eliminated. United States, can we please stop taking people who are overtly despicable and do everything to destroy this country and immediately trying to give them a second chance before they even have any consequences? Like, are we serious here? Like, can we stop doing this? Stop acting as if unredeemed people should be given a second chance to look like the good guy. No. And I know a lot of people still idolize Giuliani post 9/11 simply because at that time he was the mayor of New York. Let's call a spade a spade. He did his job during a crisis. I, I cannot with people like please y'all, just enough is enough. There is no reason why he should be laughing it up. No, he should be in front of the January 6th committee. That's where he should be. He should be investigated by the Department of Justice because of all of the crimes he committed while Trump's attorney, while Trump's friend, while Trump was in office. Not hamming it up, having a good old time. But why privilege doesn't exist? Okay, okay. Like if we're just handing out second chances, where's Marion Barry's second chance? And don't get me wrong, I don't like him either. He's been trash. A lot of firefighters don't like him for taking a lot of credit for what happened. Yeah, I just bet he took credit for a lot of things he had no hands in, and he finally completed components of his job description as mayor during that time. But people glorify him because of the horrific things that happened in New York City at the time. I know. But speaking of January 6th, this one coming from The Guardian. January 6th was a coup organized by the president, says Jamie Raskin. Member of White House Capitol attack panel says hearings will focus on Trump's bid to cling to power. Donald Trump attempted a coup on January 6, 2021, as he tried to salvage his doomed presidency. And that will be a central focus of forthcoming public hearings of the special House panel investigating events surrounding the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, the Congressman Jamie Raskin said. Raskin is a prominent Democrat on the committee and also led the House efforts when Trump was impeached for a historic second time in 2021, accused of inciting the storming of the U.S. Capitol by his extremist supporters who were trying to stop the certification of Joe Biden's victory. This was a coup organized by the president against the vice president and against the Congress in order to overturn the 2020 presidential election, Raskin said in an interview with The Guardian, Reuters news agency, and the Climate One radio program. Public hearings by the bipartisan special committee investigating January 6th and related actions by Trump and his White House team and other allies, chaired by the Mississippi Democrat Benny Thompson, are expected next month. It is about time. And I am just waiting. I know it'll probably not happen in my lifetime, but for the Trumpel fucks to let go of all their outrageous claims and theories as to who was behind the coup. We know who was behind the failed coup attempt. This was not a peaceful protest. This was not a tour of the Capitol gone awry. It was not. This was pre-planned. They knew what they were doing. They came with supplies. They came with supplies. But, one thing that Trump and his followers and his family members and his friends, I'm using that loosely because it doesn't seem like this man has loyalty to anybody other than himself and Ivanka. But what they can do is do some Olympic level gymnastic stretching to distance themselves from the truth oh so much with some of the most outlandish claims that are supported by just trust me, bro. And it perplexes me that so many fully grown adults with mortgages, dependents, grandchildren, great grandchildren lap this mess up and don't question it, but will question watching an unarmed individual be murdered by the police. They will have a million and one questions about what they've witnessed on video. But these are the same people who felt so traumatized that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, but they're never traumatized or triggered. When there's video of school shootings, when there's video of police gunning someone down, that's not triggering. That's, I guess, only doing runs. Now this clip, please pay close attention. I'll see you back in 1 and 1.
If you care about trans youth, please keep watching this video. Today, April 20th of 2022, the Department of Health in Florida issued this statement, forcing trans youth to detransition. Anyone under the age of 18 is now prohibited from hormone replacement therapy, puberty blockers, and even socially transitioning. Puberty blockers only work during puberty, and taking them away from trans youth will force so many trans children to go through dysphoria that could have been avoided. The statement argues that they are trying to avoid irreversible damage that can be caused by transitioning, but there is no irreversible damage that can be caused by socially transitioning. Children in Florida seeking gender-affirming care and their parents will now become medical refugees. And poor and impoverished families that do not have the resources to leave states to get medical care will be left without. And doctors providing care within the state run the risk of now losing their licenses. Not to mention that any case against the state of Florida will be decided by a mostly conservative Supreme Court, which means it's only a matter of time before other states follow suit.
I have never understood people's obsession with what other people do that is not harming them, not breaking the law, not influencing anyone at all. Someone being able to live their truth and be happy within their own skin does not affect you positively, negatively, any manner. It does not affect you. It does not affect your taxes. It does not affect the bills that you pay. It does not affect the sleep that you get or don't get at night. It doesn't affect whether you eat or sleep. It does not even affect your happiness. Additionally, I will never fathom the utter obsession that people have with the trans community, whether a trans woman, a trans man, or a trans non-binary individual. I will never understand this obsession. It makes 0.0 sense. And the United States has a blaring obsession with other people's children unless actual abuse is happening. They want to look like the good, valiant hero that's coming in to save the day, except for when a hero is needed to come and save the day. Because I bet you if this was a collection of children being abused, whether by a parent or guardian, or in foster care being mistreated and bounced around with all of their belongings, just generally very minimal, in garbage bags, no one says anything. And for all of you pro-lifers, you forced birthers, you care so much about clumps of cells, but when they are born and are human beings, you do nothing but pour hate into them, but still want them to appreciate, respect, and join the cultish religion that you use as a weapon to force them to be born. Because what is under someone's clothing, how does that affect you? What does that have to do with you? And for all you crazy nut job evangelical Christians that are very cultish and want to force someone to give birth just to hate those children and provide those children with zero resources, and then criticize the mothers, never the fathers, the mothers, for them being born afterwards. Your own Bible says that that life begins at birth, not at conception. Your own Bible also has a recipe for an abortion in it. So stop. You're so worried about children until it's time to keep those children safe and happy and nurtured. Instead of protesting abortion clinics and trans children, go protest the NRA so that children can finally have a safe space again in school. Go track down pedophiles so children can go to church, go to school, go to the mall, go play a sport, and not be targeted, hunted, and harmed. But no, you would rather take us down this slippery slope into fascism, where you want to force everybody to think the same, and you want to keep Anglo numbers above everyone else's. That's why you're eliminating minimum age for marriage. Because if a full-grown adult marries a minor that you all didn't put in a stipulation that this minor is now emancipated, they can't legally sign any documents without your signature, so they can't even divorce you. And they can't give consent because they're still under the age of consent. So that means that they have to be molested and assaulted as you see fit so that you can continue your Anglo line. That's why you're eliminating abortion rights. That's why you're criminalizing it. And then you're removing materials from school to make people dumber, to make them easier to control, and so that everyone has one set of thoughts, one set of ideals. That's why you hate the ideology of Antifa, which is just short for anti-fascist. Oh, well, our next article is coming from Newsweek. Netflix encouraged subscribers to share passwords years before a crackdown. Years before Netflix warned of a potential crackdown on password sharing, the streaming service appeared to encourage users to do just that. In a March 10th, 2017 Twitter thread that was promoting its original series Love, Netflix wrote, "Love is sharing a password." The single tweet in the thread garnered more than 15,000 likes and more than 4,600 retweets. Password sharing has become a common practice among Netflix users, so much so that the company estimates more than 30 million households in the US and Canada and more than 100 million worldwide engage in it, CNBC reported. But after the company said in its quarterly letter to shareholders Tuesday that it lost subscribers for the first time in more than a decade, it warned that a crackdown on password sharing could be in the works. The letter, which was obtained by CNN, said Netflix lost over 200,000 subscribers in the first quarter of 2022 and predicted it could see an additional loss of 2 million subscribers in the year's second quarter. The news caused Netflix stock value to drop by as much as 25% in after hours trading. Let me explain something. Cracking down is going to cause them to lose even more subscribers. People are forgetting that we are still in the midst of a pandemic. People have had to change careers. People are getting less hours. People are having to take jobs that don't pay as much. This is why password sharing is increasing. And a lot of subscription services have increased their price. Like, bro, people don't have the money and the resources that they had pre-pandemic right now. A lot of people don't. And a lot of people are like, well, Amazon went up, but I get my groceries from Amazon, so I'll just pay this. Or this went up, and I get this that is essential for me from here. Like, people didn't just wake up and go, you know what, let's have a conspiracy against Netflix and take them to the ground. Like, Netflix, you have out survived Family Video, Hollywood Video, and Blockbuster Video. You went from clogging up the postal service with people getting movies. You've even outlasted Redbox. You have your own originals. You have movies now being entered in the Cannes Movie Festival. Get yourself together, Miss Mamas. Get yourself together. Because raising the prices, baby, listen, we're going to have 15 people per account. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't grandfathered in. Because I will admit, for the longest time, I did not have Netflix because when Netflix originally came out and they were doing the whole by mail thing, I just wasn't on that. Uh, Plus, at the time where I was living for quite a chunk of years, the post office in my area for me was just not convenient to get to. It was a no for me. And where they're acting, it might be a no for me again. And yeah, there is nothing to watch. And like Netflix lost all of their Marvel shows to Disney. Netflix is, and I appreciate the original content that they're bringing out, the comedy specials that you can't get anywhere else, but they're taking away staples that people love and enjoy to watch that people can't just, there are a lot of people who can't just get up and go buy the DVD or the Blu-ray or go get the box set of these shows. And it's like, you're raising your prices, but you're giving us less of what we wanted from you. That's like your dry cleaner, your favorite dry cleaner going, oh, we're going up $2 per load of clothes, but we're no longer going to be pressing your clothes. Like, what? Why am I paying you more for less? That's what they do. But I'll see you in 2 and 2. We're going to run this month's ad. While we run this ad, pay attention, peruse the parameters of the site, and contact a friend. Bring them over here to the party. See you in a bit. And we're back. Ooh, okay. This article is coming from Insider, and I'll be honest, this is something I did not expect to hear about Mitch the Bitch, but here we go. Mitch McConnell privately said Democrats would take care of the son of a bitch for us by impeaching Trump for the January 6th riot. This is from a book. Here are the cliff notes before we get into the article. The New York Times published previously unreported private remarks from Mitch McConnell on Thursday. After January 6th, McConnell reportedly said impeachment would take care of Trump. The Democrats are going to take care of the son of a bitch for us, he said, per New York Times. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell privately supported Democrats impeaching former President Donald Trump for a second time despite McConnell's decision to vote for his acquittal, according to the New York Times. What a cowardly move, but what else would we expect from old Mitch? The Democrats are going to take care of the son of a bitch for us, McConnell said, of the House's 2021 impeachment proceedings, according to the Times reporter Alex Burns and Jonathan Martin. The report comes from Burns and Martin's forthcoming book, This Will Not Pass, Trump, Biden, and the Battle for America's Future, which is based on hundreds of interviews with lawmakers and federal officials, as well as contemporaneous documents through the 2020 election up through the aftermath of the January 6th insurrection. McConnell was furious about the insurrection. His wife, Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, resigned on January 7th, citing what she said was traumatic and entirely avoidable event. I want to say to the American people, the United States Senate will not be intimidated, McConnell thundered on the floor in the early hours of January 7th as workers were still cleaning up remnants of the riot. We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats. We will not bow to lawlessness or intimidation. Well, that's funny because you are the epitome of lawlessness and intimidation, sir. According to the book, McConnell and other Republicans had a brief window during which they thought they could force Trump out. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy went so far as to suggest that he would privately tell Trump that it was time to resign, becoming a modern-day Barry Goldwater. If this isn't impeachable, I don't know what is, McConnell told two of his longtime aides over a Chick-fil-A back in Kentucky on January 10th, according to Burns and Martin. But in the end, the GOP's leaders felt that their party's base would stand behind Trump. McCarthy slowly backed himself away from his remarks, saying Trump bears responsibility for the Capitol riot, while McConnell supported Senator Rand Paul, another idiot, of Kentucky's argument that a former president could not be impeached. I didn't get to be the leader by voting with 5 people in the conference, McConnell said, according to the Times. McConnell wasn't done, though. Soon after voting to acquit Trump for inciting the insurrection, the top Senate Republican suggested that the criminal justice system would have the final word in Trump's actions. Not if you keep playing both sides against the middle. Why don't you just tell the truth and, first of all, get the Trumplefucks under control, especially the Trumplefucks that you are the leader of on Capitol Hill. But I guess that would be too much like right and too much like him finally standing on the correct side of history. And we know he wants to go down in history as the villain. I don't know what his villain origin story is because he's been 165,000 years old forever. But I digress. In one light, it certainly does seem counterintuitive that an office holder can elude Senate conviction by resignation or expiration of term, McConnell said on the Senate floor on February 14, 2021. But this just underscores that impeachment was never meant to be the final form for American justice. President Trump is still liable for everything he did while he was in office. You helped him, so you liable too? So we clink you too? As an ordinary citizen, unless the statute of limitations has run, still liable for everything he did while in office, didn't get away with anything yet. Yet, he went on. A former top aide to McConnell previously told Insider that the combination of losing the Senate majority and the January 6th attack shattered Trump and McConnell's relationship. But in a sign of his party loyalty, McConnell has said he would still support Trump if he became the Republican Party's presidential nominee in 2024. I doubt it he is, because there's a lot of questionable funds that he's raised that, the presidency was the most profitable position Trump has ever held. So he does like the money and looking broke. I think I have an obligation to support the nominee for my party, McConnell recently told Axios' Jonathan Swan. That will mean that whoever the nominee is has gone out and earned the nomination. No, it doesn't. It just means that your base is stupid as shit and will believe anything. And they will just go with whoever spins the greatest fairy tale in their eyes. Okay. We have one more clip for the night and then a few more articles to get into. Let's roll.
The children's book, It's Okay to Be a Unicorn, has been banned in an Ohio school district.
A book about a unicorn is causing quite the controversy in the Buckeye Valley local school district. An emergency school board meeting was held tonight after the author of the book says he was told not to read it when he visited the district. 10 TV's Olivia Eugenio was at that meeting and asked the district's interim superintendent about exactly what happened.
There was just a handful of parents who spoke at Friday night's board meeting, all of them speaking in favor of the unicorn book. No one spoke out against it.
So why couldn't we read a book with a rainbow on it?
Kaylin Brazelton is a mother of 2 and works at Buckeye Valley West. She spoke at Friday night's meeting. She says she doesn't understand why It's Okay to Be a Unicorn, a book about acceptance for children who feel different, wouldn't be allowed.
I had walked up and was told we have to take the artwork down.
She also doesn't understand why she says her co-workers were instructed to take down kids' artwork relating to the book.
I was simply confused and people were taking stuff down and they said we have to take anything down with unicorns and rainbows.
So we asked the district's interim superintendent what happened. He says a parent came to him concerned Wednesday morning. The author was visiting on Thursday.
I just want to make sure we vetted the book, and our staff thought they had vetted it.
The author of the book, Jason Tharp, says he was asked not to read the unicorn book by the building principal over the phone. The author says he was then sent this email, which he shared with 10 TV, asking him not to read from another book. We were the first to bring this email to the interim superintendent's attention.
I got that email right before our board meeting, so I got to talk to him next week.
We also asked the interim superintendent about the kids' artwork. He says, as far as he's aware of, all art was displayed. Olivia Eugenio, 10TV News.
Kids are now not allowed to draw unicorns and rainbows? The school has to do a second thorough inspection of the book? What the fuck has our world come to?
So let me get this straight. The mantra of the United States is pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You can be all that you want to be. Be you. Be the individual that you're meant to be. As long as you think exactly like the rest of us, look exactly like the rest of us, speak exactly like the rest of us, do not help your fellow man, do not care about your fellow man. The only thing you care about is having control over your fellow man. And we don't want government in everything, but we want government in everything in order to force people to be exactly like us. Did I get that right? So now it's not okay to let kids be kids and be okay with being a little different from their peers. Because trust me, growing up, I was that kid that really didn't fit in with other kids. My interests were different than most kids that were in direct contact with me at that time. What was popular for other kids to like, I really didn't like. And a lot of times I just faked it and pretended to like certain things because I was tired of being questioned. I was tired of being ridiculed. I was tired of being teased. I was, tired of being told that I was weird for those things. And then just imagine the children who already may have body issues, the kids that are too tall for their age, too short for their age, a little heftier than other children, a little smaller than other children, trans children, children that practice a religion outside of Christianity, children who look different, children with disabilities. So we're not supposed to let them feel comfortable. It's amazing that so many people are so concerned about little white kids feeling uncomfortable in classrooms. Little white, cisgendered, straight children that are able bodied. They're worried about them feeling uncomfortable, but forget everybody else. They can be uncomfortable. And what is taking rainbows and unicorns down going to do? Are you going to eliminate them from the stores? Are you going to eliminate them from children's broadcasting? Are you going to eliminate them from coloring books? Because I remember in elementary school, there were a lot of mythical creatures that we colored. There were a lot of rainbows all over the place. Like I remember in primary school, virtually around every classroom that we had was the alphabet, whether in print or in cursive. There was like bold rainbow-esque colors all around them. Most of the posters that were up, even through middle school, bright and bold and fanciful. So now are we going to emulate the school from Matilda? Make everything drab just to properly indoctrinate the children and have everybody think the same and everybody hate themselves? Because, just like the boomers, the more you hate yourself and hate your family, the more productive of an employee that you are, and the more you'll go along with the singular mindset and perpetuate that going forward. Like I feel a second coming of commercials where you get it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Don't forget, your children are humans too. Don't yell at them all the time. Give them a hug. Yes, these are real things that had to be said to boomers while they were still parenting minors because they were so drab and so internally hateful. While a lot of them just work around the clock, do anything to avoid their families. And they're the generation that feels like just because you're provided for, you're okay. As long as you're provided for financially, you're okay. You know what? I thought Ohio was going to shit when I saw campaign commercials talking about we need to build the wall to separate the U.S. and Mexican border to protect the borders of Ohio. First of all, I don't know anybody who's leaving Mexico or any other country to go to Ohio and shoot. Okay, coming from NBC News, Trump campaign ordered to pay $1.3 million in legal fees to Omarosa Manigault Newman. The award comes after an arbitrator ruled that a confidentiality agreement signed by Manigault Newman while working on former President Donald Trump's campaign was unenforceable. Should have never been working there in the first place. I mean, I know she worked hard to be a reality star villain, but baby, you went too far with that one. That cooning, I guess it paid off. I guess now we know why Candace Owens just keeps on cooning. Former President Donald Trump's campaign has been ordered to pay more than $1.3 million in legal fees to former Apprentice star Omarosa Manigault Newman after launching a failed lawsuit over her book detailing her time as a White House advisor, her lawyers have said. Manigault Newman's attorney, John M. Phillips, welcomed the award in a statement on Wednesday, saying it was the largest known attorney fee award against a political campaign or president we could find. The award comes months after arbitrator T. Andrew Brown ruled in Manigault Newman's favor in September after the Trump campaign accused her of violating a non-disclosure agreement with the release of her book titled Unhinged, an insider's account of the Trump White House, in which she described Trump as a racist, a bigot, and a misogynist. We didn't need a book for that. That could have been a text. The Trump campaign filed a formal complaint in 2018 with the American Arbitration Association in New York. However, Brown ruled that the non-disclosure agreement is invalid under New York law and was unenforceable. He said the terms of the non-disclosure agreement were highly problematic as they did not adhere to typical legal standards and said there was no way for Manigault Newman to know whether she was in breach of the contract given how vague it was. This is about to open up some floodgates. This is about to open up some extreme floodgates. Because Trump has been known to hand out NDAs like a dentist hands out Tic Tacs, baby. Some of everybody now is about to start coming out, giving interviews, writing books, even more than they have before. Like, woo! All of the Trump secrets are about to come out, and not just on good old Donnie Sr., which I never understand why he does not refer to himself as Donald J. Trump Sr., because he has a Donald Trump Jr. Conversation for another day. Anyhow, let me get focused. ADHD is kicking in. But I can't wait, because I mean, we already have a blockbuster on Melania, but I can't wait for that Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner book to come out. That Eric Trump book, that Donnie Jr. book. I think the only two that are unproblematic are the youngest two, Tiffany and Barron. And you never hear about them, and you never see them. They don't have their hands in anything. Barron is, yes, still a minor, but I don't even think he rocks with his daddy like that, because Trump has publicly stated that he believes that rearing children is a woman's job. And Tiffany Trump is treated like the redheaded stepchild. So my thing is, Tiffany, snatch up your baby brother. Y'all write a book. Because you know your daddy ain't going to leave you nothing. And he is going to try to figure out how to say that you were all up in it. Because I don't know if she's taken the bar yet, but I do know she was in law school. Girl, go ahead and put out that tell-all. Be like, call your auntie up. Be like her. Get some notes from her to explain, to give a little background history, or do a part 2 to her book. Or, look, I got a title for you. Behind the Orange Curtain. Tell us about your life with Papa Don. Everybody else doing it? Because I wouldn't be surprised if everybody in that family had to sign an NDA as soon as they could write their name. Everybody except for Ivanka, because, you know, paternal emotional incest. And coming in from Ares Technica, we have to have an Elon Musk update because him and this Twitter crap and the CCP shutdown in China, oh child, he is relentless. But let's face it, he does look like a DC villain and a Marvel villain came together and had a baby. But his daddy is a real life predatory villain. But I digress. Elon Musk still wants Twitter, and he now has $46.5 billion in financing. Ain't no way. Ain't no fucking way. Ain't no way. Elon Musk has continued his pursuit of Twitter. In an SEC filing Thursday, Musk revealed that he has $46.5 billion in financing lined up to close the deal. The Tesla and SpaceX founder would cover $21 billion of the purchase price himself. A consortium of banks will loan him $12.5 billion against his shares of Tesla, along with an additional $13 billion in financing. Musk surprised just about everyone last week with an unsolicited offer of $43 billion for Twitter. The move came after he quietly purchased 9.2% of the outstanding Twitter shares. He then rejected an offer to sit on the company's board in order to be able to buy even more shares. I knew there was something up when he didn't want to sit on the board. I'm like, he's too much of a control freak. Whatever. Musk's vision for the social media site appears to be one largely unencumbered by moderation. I invested in Twitter as I believe it is in its potential to be the platform for free speech around the globe. Musk wrote to Twitter chairman Brett Taylor last week. I believe free speech is a societal imperative for a functioning democracy. How much free speech is going to be going on if you want to take the company private? And Elon, we know how much you like to tussle in the courtroom when anybody says anything that you don't like about you. You cannot take criticism. You throw more fits than a hungry baby with a soiled diaper. But go off. Twitter was uninterested in the offer, which it believed undervalued the company, and its board of directors quickly approved a poison pill provision that would make a hostile takeover much more difficult. Under the plan, current shareholders would be able to buy more stocks at a discount, which would shrink the relative size of Musk, the Vanguard Group's, with 10.3% holdings. With funding secured, Musk is now likely to make a tender offer to all Twitter shareholders that would in turn almost certainly force the board to engage in serious negotiations with him. He plays way too many games. He's like the dude that is trying to force someone to date them. And it's amazing that this offer was posted to Twitter. Like he's literally trying to take this by force, like trying to rally the troops behind him to get a company. Like who does this? You're a grown man. Should the deal go through, it would be one of the all-time largest leveraged buyouts ever. He is such a sad, pathetic man. I mean, he works, truly, truly works my nerves. But all of these shenanigans, um, coming from Newsbreak, picture up here. California man wrongfully convicted of murder is exonerated after 32 years in prison. Everyone involved in that case needs to spend 32 years in prison. I digress. Let's go forward. A California man who spent more than 3 decades behind bars for a murder he did not commit was exonerated of the crime Monday, clearing the way for his release from prison, officials said. Now, if you can immediately take me to prison, you can immediately let me out. There's no reason to set this up. Bring me some clothes and let me go. Don't even take me back to prison. Let me go now. I don't care about none of that stuff in that cell. Let me go now. Joaquin Syria, now 61, was arrested in 1990 and convicted of a shooting death in San Francisco based on false witness testimony and police misconduct, said San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin, who dropped the case against Syria on Monday after a judge overturned his conviction. So the witness lied and the police lied. Shocker. This is why you look for forensic evidence. A substantiated motive, opportunity, proper timeline. But no, let's just close this case. I mean, it's just another black guy. Who's gonna miss him? But the justice system is fair, right? Serious case marked the first exoneration prompted by the District Attorney's Innocence Commission, which was established by Boudin in 2020 to review potential wrongful conviction cases. There are way too many innocent projects in this country for people to still not see how corrupt the justice system is. I mean, we can't say the system is broken. It's working exactly how it was created to work. Incarcerate the black and brown and give a slap on the hand to the white. Complexion for protection and the complexion for connection. 32 years ago, you were taken away from your wife and your baby. Whole child has no idea who their father really is. And that is because the system failed you catastrophically. Laura Bazelon, chair of the commission, said during a news conference alongside Boudin and members of Syria's family, now at long last, you have a chance to take back your life. How? I'm at retirement age. How? And my work history is no longer valid. Whole technologies have been made since I've been locked up. What am I going to take back? What? And are you all going to take this felony status off of me so I can secure housing? Syria was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison for the shooting death of Felix Bastrarica, who was shot in the head after an argument in a San Francisco alley. An 18-month investigation by the commission located new witnesses and evidence and found a cascade of errors in how the case was handled, including police coercion of the key witness, who was a teenager at the time, said Bazelon, a professor at the University of San Francisco School of Law. Over 30 years later, they were able to find more credible. Sounds like the original investigation didn't even, the original investigators didn't even try. They didn't. There was no DNA, no fingerprints, no murder weapon was ever recovered, she said, adding that Syria had always maintained his innocence and had two alibi witnesses who said he was home at the time of the shooting, but they were never called to testify by the defense. Oh, see. See. Let me guess, public defender? Public defender. Or just a piss poor attorney with bias. Possibly because they only spoke Spanish. Oh, the discrimination. He had a jury heard Had a jury heard this case today, there would not have been a conviction. The timing of Syria's release was not immediately known, Don's office said. Why? Why? The date that he had to turn himself in, the date that his sentence started, was known immediately. They kill me with this. Yeah, you're free, but we don't know when we're going to let you free. You miss me with that bullshit. Mr. Syria has been in prison for more than 30 years for a crime he did not commit, Don said. Today we celebrate long overdue justice, but we cannot stop working to undo other wrongful convictions. No, you celebrate when this man is actually at home, when you actually remove the felony from his record, when you give him some sort of compensation so he can sustain the remainder of his days. And I hope it is not like another black woman who was released from prison after decades for a crime she didn't commit, and shortly after being released, she was diagnosed with a terminal illness and died. Like, you have robbed these people of the best years of their lives. He has family members that he does not know exist, that probably do not know that he exists. He probably has parents that have passed away and never got a chance to hold their son, hug their son again. He didn't get to say his final farewell. We're going to celebrate. Celebrate removing the corruption from the police department, the district attorney's office, judges, the courtroom, and start teaching critical race theory so we can remove the bias from juries. Because the jury of your peers should not include people who hate you for existing. in this illogical, completely incorrect belief that the United States has a national religion or national language prevents non-English, primary English speaking people from testifying, from stepping up, from doing a lot of things. On our final one for tonight, U.S. News and World Report, NFL says black coaches' discrimination claims should be thrown out or arbitrated. Let me guess. I'm not racist. I have black employees. The National Football League on Thursday said lawsuits by 3 black coaches accusing the league of racist hiring practices should be dismissed because the claims lack legal merit or else sent to arbitration. There was no legal merit. Why are you offering up the option of arbitration? You did nothing wrong. The league set forth its expected defenses to the claims of Brian Flores and 2 other coaches in the filing in Manhattan federal court ahead of a scheduled May 2nd initial conference with U.S. District Judge Valerie Caproni. Flores, fired in January as the Miami Dolphins head coach after back-to-back winning seasons, sued in February accusing the NFL and its 32 teams of hiring discrimination for coaching and senior management jobs. 2 more black coaches, former Arizona Cardinals head coach Steve Wilkes and longtime assistant coach Ray Horton, joined as plaintiffs in the proposed class action on April 7th. Flores' case has shined unflattering attention on the NFL, which has long condemned racism. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Look at what they did to Kaepernick. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. The league has also since 2003 required teams to consider minority candidates for head coaching vacancies under its so-called Rooney Rule. Like they say, rules are meant to be broken. And in 2009, expanded the rule to cover general manager jobs. In Thursday's letter, the NFL denied the plaintiff's claims, including that Flores underwent a sham interview recently with the New York Giants to comply with Rooney Rule and a similar interview more than 3 years ago with the Denver Broncos. Okay, NFL, you're saying we stand against racism, but we're going to fight you and say that we're not racist because we just have this one praxis. And when you look at our stats, I know it looks like we don't follow the rule, but we need you to believe that we follow because, white people. Just shut up and pass it, kick that ball, and make sure you run fast. We don't need you, putting together plays or winning games and making the white coaches feel bad. We have to think about their feelings. Blah, 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 blah. That's it for tonight's show. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for Freeform Fridays. I jazz up a little music tomorrow because don't forget it is my birthday weekend, so let's have some fun. And tomorrow, make sure you bring a friend with you. As always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Until next time.